Welcome to the channel. I'm Hayes. I talk movies all day. Sometimes I talk about games. So subscribe right now if you'll be entertained. And today, this is the second episode of Games and Frames. It's a podcast we're doing, or podcast slash tubecast. We're doing this is YouTube only right now. Who knows? Maybe in the future we'll see. But for now, YouTube. But yeah, we do this about once a month ish. Maybe get into that more frequently later on. We'll see. But about once a month right now, we get together. We talk about things going on in the past. Sort of weeks, months in the gaming world and the movie world. And that's what we're doing today. So we're going to talk about some things. We're going to talk about the MCU and some of the comments made about that Stephen Dorff made about the MCU and Scarlett Johansson. We're going to talk about the Steam Deck. We're going to talk about the big news, the big unfortunate news, of course, that is the Activision Blizzard allegations as well. But before we go into that, let's do some introductions. So I'm Hayes, or Bumi Hazan, if you want to know my real name. And I run the channel here. I run some other channels as well, so please check them out when you get a chance to. We do movies, we do games, we just have some fun here and all that kind of stuff. But that's enough talk from me. Mr. Alex, tell the people who you is and what you've been playing lately. Or watching lately.
Both actually. So I'm Alexander Gayle. You guys can call me Alex. It sounded super formal. A little bit of a businessman. I do a few things here and there. Some gaming, some cosmetics. Funny enough, but in terms of what I've been watching, I actually saw Black Widow on the weekend.
Okay.
Saw it in Leicester Square, Cineworld, 4DX. Pretty awesome, man. You got the moving chairs, you got all the wind and everything. Like, it added to the film. I actually enjoyed it. I know it's been a bit of a mixed bag in terms of what people have been thinking, but then you've also got to remember this wasn't meant to come out now. The film was meant to come out, some time ago. So it would have made a bit more sense. It's like the impact's not the same. And then in terms of games, actually a mobile game I've been playing is Seven Deadly Sins on the Android app.
Okay. Bro, I'm glad. I love anime, man. I'm not even gonna lie. I love the anime.
Okay, you got some Seven Deadly Sins fans. All right. I'm just on my own with this one. I haven't even heard of the game, but okay.
I haven't played the game though. What's the game like?
It's right. It's one of those gacha ones. So it's all about luck, getting like the diamonds, crystals, whatever like that particular game's version is, and doing summons and all of that and doing missions. Like it's good fun. It kills some time. Like, I'm not gonna say I'm too invested into it, but I like it.
Okay. All right, so Mr. Zeke, tell the people who you be and what you've been playing, what you've been watching lately.
So I'm Ezekiel Martin, or for short, call me Zeke. But yeah, I'm not even gonna lie, I've been filming so much these past few weeks. I've been into filming, but for my filming, I actually watch Walking Dead, study the character of Negan, because my character is similar to Negan's character. So technically I've been playing, Negan, what I'm saying? Bit of a psycho, no. But yeah, but I didn't use a baseball bat. I had my own, like the trench, so you got knuckle dusters and the sword. That was like my go-to thing. Yeah. So
okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I watched The Road to go with that, and I was watching Walking Dead. So I've been watching recently. I'm actually watching Black Widow on Thursday because I wrap tomorrow for filming.
Wait, The Road, is that the Viggo Mortensen movie?
Is it the guy from Aragon? The guy from Aragon, that guy who played Aragon.
Yeah, cool.
So
I'm not into it. Yeah.
Yeah, so similar styles to that. So I'm glad I've been busy filming these last few weeks. And Walking Dead. I watched The Witch as well, finally, which was quite good, actually, man. Mm-hmm. It was actually really good. I was like, read it to the clear. But
season 2 that's coming soon, actually. So
I did a little bit in that one. It's coming out in December, isn't it? So it's but that's me right now. Just a bit busy.
Okay.
Life, man, it's life.
Hey, man, I'm still playing though. You gotta do
what we can, man.
Exactly.
As for myself, I also watched Black Widow as well. I was actually the first time I went to the cinema since this whole thing. I know cinemas have been open for like a good few months now. I think like 2 months, prior to that. Yeah. But I decided myself that I'm so heavily invested in the MCU, I'm not going to the cinema until Black Widow's out. So it came out. I went to the cinema. I watched it. I really enjoyed it. I know it, like you say, it kind of got a mixed bag in terms of like people's opinions and this, that, and the other. I enjoyed it. I mean, it wasn't, shall we say, the perfect movie, right? I'm sure it has its flaws and that kind of thing. In fact, I did a review on the channel, so check that out. But yeah, overall, I thought it was more positive than negative. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. But it was just cool to be back in the cinema. Don't get me wrong, watching movies on Netflix is great. But there's just something special about going to the movie theater. I didn't see it in the 4DX though; it was the regular cinema for me. But yeah, just being in the cinema, being in the chairs, having a big screen, and everything it's a cool experience. So yeah, really enjoyed that.
I watched Fast and Furious as well. I forgot to say.
Oh, okay, yeah. Do you know I ain't seen that yet? What's it saying?
I've heard so many. I haven't seen it yet either, but yeah, I've heard some crazy things about it. You know what though? People, here's what I've heard actually, that people didn't like it because it does some crazy things and this, that, and the other. But for me, Fast and Furious is crazy. Like, it's practically a sci-fi at this point. It's not, they're not trying to be a serious, multi-layered. Don't get me wrong, they can get a little bit deep at times, but they're not really trying to be less.
Yeah, but that's the problem though, at times, I think, though. It's like they're trying to be deep, just like stick to one or the other, and it's just going all over the place. So, but like, what you're gonna get from it. That's it. That's the bottom line. But also, quickly, I want to change subject. Have you guys played The Walking Dead Telltale?
Yes. Some of them, yeah. Not the last one though, but
season one,
all but the last one.
Season one's dope, yeah, right. So basically, the short film I'm doing is similar to that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's quite interesting.
So
but yeah,
it Clementine? That based on
Clementine? Okay, so like the main actress is called Jasmine, but it's similar aspects.
Okay,
yeah. But yeah, that's what I was like. That's why
that first game though, what Clementine had to do, like, I'm not going to spoil it if anybody ain't played it, but what you had to do as Clementine, that was
she became my daughter, man.
Man.
But even Lee, man, you gotta love the main character as well.
Felt it right there, man.
What I love about those games though is that when you play them again, you kind of realize that you don't actually have as much choice as you think you do.
Oh yeah.
But the first time you play it, like the experience of making those decisions and the story that it gives you and it cultivates, it's so engrossing. It really does pull you in. But it's only like when you play it again, you're like, oh, actually, it doesn't matter which one I pick because it's all kind of leads the same way. It's like, all right, and I think the last one I played, it was a bit obvious from the beginning that you weren't really making choices. But the first one, I think the second one, they were on point.
Fantastic, man.
I think that's because a lot of games try and do that. I've seen Assassin's Creed as well. You've got that kind of choice. One thing I didn't actually enjoy was the last Gears of War 5. You get a multiple choice one in that one, and that one didn't make sense, especially how the game structure was. But yeah, for the Telltale in general, like Walking Dead, obviously one of the best ones, like, especially season 1. So, but yeah, just wanted to talking about that.
That's pretty dope, man.
Yeah, I've actually been watching. I haven't watched all of it yet, but I watched the first 4 episodes of Masters of the Universe, which is the new Netflix series based on He-Man, and it's kind of interesting actually because like I've heard like I saw on Twitter there was a little bit of controversy about it, and again I'm not going to spoil it if anybody ain't seen it, but there's a little bit of controversy about it and how they sort of structure the characters and who's leading and this, that, and the other. But I will say that it's in my opinion it's been pretty good, and although I'm not sure if it's a children's show. Here's the thing about this. Like, it's based on a children's show, He-Man from the 80s. That was one of my favourite shows back in the day. Yes, I'm old enough to remember the 80s, yes. but it was one of my favourite shows as a kid. And watching this is kind of like He-Man, or say Masters of the Universe, for grown-ups, even though it's kind of a kid's show. You know what I mean? Like, it's not super adult. Like, there's no swearing and, nudity and things like that. But, you know what I mean? It's just from its subject matter, from how it deals with things and just some of the things it covers. Like, I'm like, raw. I'm okay. But yeah, I'm definitely on board with it. I've got one more episode to go. But yeah, I'm definitely on board with it. So I don't know why people hate it. I mean, I know why because I've seen it come here, but I'm just saying, I feel like I'm going to say I don't feel they're good reasons. Let me just put it like that. I don't feel they're good reasons. So if you have not seen it, if you're interested, it's thumbs up from me. So.
What I will say is actually the other thing that I watched, I finally finished watching the latest season of Lucifer.
Yeah.
Have you seen it? Any of you seen it?
No, but I've just I know that the community for that is huge. That's friends of mine watching. It's always okay.
I'm just gonna say like I enjoyed it. Like, it was good. I know they've got another season. I don't know what they're gonna do with the next season. Like the way it ended.
All right.
So So it's kind of like, yeah, I don't know, man. You know, when that check comes, you got to write another season, right? But it
I
was,
don't know, man. That's a problem nowadays. They try and like Fast and Furious is
yeah.
a great example. Like, extend it, like, yo, there's gonna be a limit. After that, it's
It
just
has
like,
to be.
right.
But they say the next one should be the final season. But I could see now, in some ways, how they can do another season, but how they execute it, that's a big deal. And I think it's coming out
100%.
very soon, actually. I think they said something like September. So I was like,
That's in like next
I
month.
might wait till this whole thing's out then and maybe watch it from the beginning. I might try that because I've heard so many things about that. So if it's ending soon, then let me try and wait till it's down there. Like, let me come back to this.
yeah, just avoid spoilers. That's what I'm gonna say. Avoid spoilers.
Yeah, all right. I don't think I've heard too much about what happens, but I definitely heard a lot of people. I remember when it got cancelled, like loads of people rallied around it, and then to bring
I
it
was
back,
upset,
and Netflix picked it up. So massive community that really passionate about that show. So I might have to check that out.
It's not on my list.
It puts the devil in a new light. So
well, the word Lucifer actually means bringer of light. So, name Lucifer rather means bringer of light. So there you go. There you go. All right, so let's move on to the first topic of the day. We're going to be talking, and you should bet. Well, you guys won't see it on screen, unfortunately, but in the recording, you should see it on screen. Where Stephen Dorff made some comments about Scarlett Johansson and the MCU movies. He said that he's embarrassed for Scarlett Johansson. He reckoned even though she got paid, what's it called, 5 or 7 million bucks.
Yeah.
I'm embarrassed. I don't know what she got paid. I'm going to guess it's probably more than that. I don't know what her official figure is. I'm going to guess it's probably a bit more than that, though. Probably a little bit more. Probably a little bit more. Well, in any case, it's still
then
5 million is still a lot of money, so you know what I mean. But yeah, she got paid. He's embarrassed for her. He reckons these movies aren't that good. He'd rather, look for the next Kubrick and that whole thing. And that's fair enough in terms of you don't have to like these movies, of course. No, nobody has to like them. But the idea that he's embarrassed for somebody over the choices that he makes in these MCU movies, and he's not the only one making these sorts of comments. Like Martin Scorsese made similar comments, I think last year or the year before, where he referred to them as like theme park films or something like that. And other people made sort of similar comments, and I know just in general, people that I've met have said things like they feel like there's way too many of them and that kind of things. What's your guys? I mean, well, you've seen Black Widow, and I don't think have you seen? Did you say Zeke?
Thursday, I'm seeing on Thursday.
You see it on Thursday. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get into what happens with Black Widow specifically, but yeah, watch it.
Oh, on Thursday's booked already, so
okay.
But yeah, let me come to Zeke first, actually, because you are an actual, real, proper actor who actually acts in movies and TV shows. I just pretend to sometimes, but you actually do it. So, what's your take on the whole thing, and the whole MCU, and I guess DCEU and comic book movies, and just the whole craze of the massive, copious amounts of movies that we get in, and that whole thing?
I mean, firstly, regarding what he said, like he's embarrassed for someone, like that's just his opinion. I don't think that's the right justification for it. But then, as an actor, it depends what kind of acting you want to do as well. Look at Tom Cruise; he does his own stunts, and then it's like Resident Evil. You just want it to be an action packed, or do you actually want acting in the sense of like I want the true emotion, the depths of a character, or it's like are you trying to do a popcorn film? Like what kind of films are you trying to do? For me, overall, the MCU, like my friends, I've got DC diehard fans, I've got Marvel diehard fans. I'm in the middle. I like both because for me, I see Marvel's a bit more lighthearted. Okay, apart from the Endgame where it became a bit more in depth. But DC, I mean, when I talk about DC, I'm talking about the trilogy of Batman, Snyder Cut, specifically, that there's more like in a practitioner type. Yeah, but in the practitioner type, like Stanislavski would be more DC and Brecht would be more Marvel because they break the fourth wall, they're kind of teaching you, trying to have some entertainment. The thing about Marvel, I do find there's a comic towards it. They've got a specific comedy side that in all films kind of has the own element. Iron Man has his own jokes, or Thor, Hulk, and it's funny when you watch it a few times, and after it does get repetitive, or like you watch Falcon and Captain Soldier, and you're like, okay, like I've heard this joke before, it gets a bit too much. But then again, now as an actor, it depends. Like Scarlett Johansson, she's very active. Like she likes doing her stuff. I haven't seen it in the sense if there's emotional depths of it, because some people just want to see the action scenes, but some people want a storyline. Do it's like when you play a game Like, do you want a good storyline to go with it, or do you just want to play, like play Street Fighter or sorry, what's the other one? Mortal Kombat. There's all this different types. So like, it depends on what category you want, because I hate to say it, people will put you in a category. But if you get in depth of everything, then it's. But yeah, as an actor, I'm not glad the work you got to put in. You think about Henry Cavill for The Witcher. Or Wolverine, you gotta like, I'm not gonna lie, they're putting the work in to get their body in shape, the food and everything, and then also to remember the lines, then again the different angles, and okay, the stunts. Because I'm not gonna lie, like at the end of the day as well, like if it's gonna be an action-packed film, just get a stunt person to do it, But then obviously you want to be the face, so there's so much pros and cons and everything. But then again, I guess it's the industry now, and obviously now she is the face of Black Widow. I haven't seen the film, like I said, but I don't know if that's answered the question that you asked directly, but
hey, it's a answer. It's all good.
The flavor, the taste. If you're trying, I'm gonna sing.
There's no right or wrong answers. It's just how you feel, man. So it's all good.
Yeah, no, but I see. For me as an actor, like I would like to do some of my own stunts, but then I've got to be realistic. I can't do everything, But then again, it's like, oh, cool. Am I doing a Marvel film, or there is a specific eloquence to like a Marvel type. Okay, this is a Marvel type of film. I mean, it's good in a way, but then it's like, okay, they're dragging on a bit. Do you know what I mean? It's like, okay. When do we put an end, or how do we change it? How do we keep, this is in every kind of industry, how do we keep someone interested or entertained in it? So I think that's the question to it. So that's my thoughts on it.
What's your take on it, Alex?
So yeah, I thought his comments was kind of funny, especially the way he put it. It's like, yeah, $5 to $7 million. I mean, I wouldn't be embarrassed if I earned that for doing it wrong. I'm just saying.
Hey, you want to give me $5 million? Hey.
All I got to do is be on the camera. Like, yeah, I'll do it. But no, the way the films are, yeah, you can say there's too many. But if you look at the comic books, like the depth of stories they have is so vast. They literally go over what 60, 70 years, some even longer than that. So we could quite literally, for the rest of our lifetime, as long as they keep making the comics, have films, different long storylines. So I personally don't have a problem with it. It's one of those things, if I don't want to watch it, I just won't watch it. You've got a generation of children, for them, reading comic books isn't really the thing. Whereas when we were younger, we were still reading comic books and watching the cartoons at the same time. These lot, they play video games, they watch the films, more so the video games than anything else. So again, for them, it's like an advertising tool, isn't it? You have the whole universe, you have the games, you have the toys, and the fact Disney owns it, that's what they're going to keep doing. They're going to keep churning those out. The quality may diminish a bit, but in terms of the formula, it works. Like talking about the DC films, I prefer DC. Like you, Zeke, I like both. So I haven't got a problem going. I'm not going to go, I am Marvel till I die.
Yeah.
Like I grew up loving Batman, but then also liking Wolverine as well. So, but with the kind of DC films, they just haven't got that formula down. It is a lot darker. They're trying to make it, a bit more lighthearted, but it should just stick to the source material. Appeal to the more mature audience.
Well, like
the kids are still gonna, like the Snyder Cut, much better film. Do you know what I mean? I mean, personally, I've only watched about an hour or two of it. It was a long sit, and I got, I need to finish it.
you do need to finish it 100%, man.
But I already enjoyed it infinitely more than the original.
Yeah.
But so to say it's an embarrassment, it all depends what the actor's about. If she's somebody who wants to be a serious actor, then clearly this isn't the route to take. But if you're happy with those more action-packed roles, I mean, she did Ghost in the Shell. So clearly this is the lane that she's taking at the moment. And for those that have watched the films, they should know, maybe we won't see her in the MCU anymore. So I don't see...
Well, I mean...
Sorry, spoiler alert.
Well, I mean, like if you've watched, isn't it, in Avengers as well before the very last one? So there's bits in that.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's really interesting. You said like DC and Marvel are different, and they're trying to copy each other, and that's one thing that didn't work out. It's like, nah, keep your differences, because there is a difference.
Because like the DC TV shows, they shit on the Marvel ones. Like
Which
they've got
which ones are we talking about?
no, like their whole universe. It works a lot better.
Oh, okay, I thought you were talking about like Arrow or stuff that's come out, or like Flash. I'm like,
Yeah.
yo, bro, we need to have a debate.
I
Arrow season 1 and 2 was good. Season
To be
6 was
honest, I haven't
good.
seen the Marvel
But
one, so-
everything, and it was like,
Yeah,
Flash.
it just works a lot better. So they got the TV side, but really, on the grand scale, no one really cares about that. They just see the film.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen much of the DC TV shows, but I would say that the stuff they've been putting on Disney Plus with the Marvel stuff, like Loki, WandaVision, they're fantastic.
Much better.
So,
It's much better than that Iron Fist. Just saying.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Alright, but what about Daredevil?
I'm protector of Kung Lao, or whatever he was saying all the time. But yeah.
What about Daredevil though? Daredevil was
Daredevil was pretty good.
that was
a shame when they cancelled that, man.
Yeah.
Screw you, Netflix, for that one. But yeah, I think you said something interesting about the how wanting to be taken as a serious actor and not doing these types of movies if you want to be taken more as a serious actor. Because I feel like there is kind of a thing about that when you look at, say, the Oscars and the award ceremonies and sort of Marvel movies generally, these types of movies generally don't get a look in. Even though, people who watch these movies, you do see some great acting, you do see a lot of emotional range, and
What's
you do
the name?
see like
WandaVision.
yeah.
Wanda, the woman, she's an amazing actress.
Right.
Man.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there is kind of this sort of attitude of people, and maybe that's something that changes over time. But I do think that my kind of thing of this is that I feel like at this point the MCU, comic book movies in general, but especially the MCU, are pretty much their own genre now, because they include action, they include sci-fi, they include fantasy, they include drama. There's heists, there's so many different things, and it's all part of this literal universe. And even if you look at the TV shows, like the fact that you have something like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and how different that was to WandaVision, and how different that was to Loki, but yet they all exist in the same world. So I feel like at this point it is its own thing, and they can be serious, they could be funny. It is a kind of a shame that you have people who have, say, the Hollywood elites and the gatekeeper type people that look at these types of films and just see them as, it's just, popcorn, candy floss. And maybe at one time these kind of movies were, but I think at this point they've shown that they could be so much to so many people, from the representation, from
100%.
doing things, showing a size of the society that we maybe should be talking about a lot more, and to people who really need to be hearing it. So, I mean, I feel like nobody needs to be embarrassed by what they do with the MCU or DCEU. But yeah, it's unfortunate that there are some people out there, and some of those people are in that kind of upper echelon of Hollywood that look at these films as silly kiddie movies that not really to pay much attention to, when there's so much going on in what they do. And I feel they do so much for so many. And when Stan Lee passed away, like, you saw the impact that he had from so many parts of the world, so many different people all over the world, and how they all came forward with these stories of how his work has affected them. So nobody needs to be embarrassed. I personally feel like nobody needs to be embarrassed by what they do with these movies.
It's down to the person to be embarrassed. But I mean, if worse comes to worse, they're embarrassed. They can just do what Ryan Reynolds do. Is before he signed the contract of Green Lantern in Deadpool 2, and they can just do a cameo like that. But yeah, should have signed that to show his embarrassment or regret. Sorry, spoilers, by the way.
I think, yeah. I like what he did with he did a thing for his new movie Free Guy, where it was like a reaction to him as Deadpool and Taika Waititi as Korg. And they both sit on the couch doing a reaction to the Free Guy trailer. That was pretty cool that he did. He would do stuff like that from time to time. So yeah, big up Ryan Reynolds, man. All right, so let's go to the next topic for today. Well, you get there, you'll get there.
No, I'm saying the guy was probably jealous. That's why he probably said, "Oh, that's why I'm embarrassed for her."
Oh, right, okay.
He ain't getting them roles.
Possibly.
That could be a reason.
I don't want to. I mean, of course, we don't know the guy.
No, we don't know the guy, of course.
But maybe. I mean, it's a type of thing that jealous people say, and I know I've been jealous of people at times, and it's a type of thing that I've said. So,
yeah. We're not him, but that could be one reason to it.
All right, so yeah, next what we want to talk about now is Valve announcing the Steam Deck. They announced it, I guess, a couple of weeks ago now, 2-3 weeks ago now. And I don't know about you, but for me, I feel like this news kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, there are, I guess we could call mobile computers already on the market. And I guess it's not a surprise that Steam were working on something. It's a shame it wasn't Half-Life 3, but that's another story. But they came with this announcement. It was a surprise for me, at least, anyway, that the Steam Deck, a handheld PC, starting at £349. It's been sold as a Steam Deck, so it plays games from your Steam library, but it is also an actual computer, so you can install Windows on it and run other storefronts on there, like Ubisoft or Epic Games or whichever one you want. You can use it as a small computer. And yeah, starts at 349. There's different models, there's different variants of it. And yeah, this seems to be pretty big news, and a lot of people seem to be excited for it. I'm looking at it like it's something that I feel like I've wanted for a while, the idea to be able to play Steam games, or especially like the indie games on the go. And I think, to be honest, for me, this would very much suit the indie games more so than the big AAA games. But yeah, this looks really cool. But can it? I mean, it kind of feels like it's too good to be true from what they're touting it to be, and then from what it is. And I know people have tried it out, and they've all kind of said that it works really well. But at the same time, it isn't a final build as well. So can it really do what they're saying it does? Like what's your sort of view on this? Let me come to Alex first. So what's your view on this as a gamer, as somebody who plays these sorts of things?
So I saw it and I was like, ooh, another way to take my money. So I haven't been like a big kind of PC gamer and playing stuff on Steam. Like I have an account, literally no games on it. I'm more of a console guy. So for me, I feel like this would be a good segue into it, because then I can, play on the go. And then if I really wanted to, because I've seen you can hook it up to
your monitor or anything.
To a monitor. Yeah. So I can literally have a pretty good kind of, if you want to call it, mini gaming PC, and like run top-notch games, not have to worry about it. Like if I put games on my laptop now, the sounds it makes is just horrible. So I could have a dedicated machine to do that. In terms of the comments about it being a Switch killer, I don't believe it can do that, because it's not going to play the Nintendo games. People go in there to play stuff like Zelda, Smash Brothers, and the like. So
Google.com. Just
I mean, you could run an emulator.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's a good point.
That's what people will do.
But would you say that, like, if you had to, let's say, I mean, I don't know, do you have a Switch? Do you have a Switch, by the way?
Yeah, I got a Switch.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's say you don't have a Switch and you had to choose between, you had the money for one of these, either the Switch or the Steam Deck. Based on what we know about the Steam Deck and what we know about the Switch,
again?
Which one would you choose? Switch is, I think, about 200 or something.
Yeah, £200. Yeah.
But let's say you could only choose one. You only got the money to, you could only afford one, and you had to choose between Switch and Steam Deck. What were you going with?
Just because I know you can run it like different OS on it and that. And Zeke made a good point, emulation. I know how to do that kind of stuff. So I would probably get the Steam Deck and just run all the games I want on there, from the old games to new games, the AAA titles, everything. If I really want to play Smash Brothers, I'll be one of those guys that puts it on there and puts it on YouTube, like, hey, look at this, Smash Bros on a Steam Deck.
Okay.
Just because of the capabilities of it. Yeah, there's a lot more to it. It's a lot more versatile. So I'd probably go for that, because if I'm honest, my Switch hasn't got much love recently. After Pokemon, I got it for Pokemon. Like, I'm not gonna front. I ain't played Pokemon since, like, we're talking Gen 2, Gold and Silver. So when I saw Sword and Shield, I was like, this is the return. Played it, smashed it out, completed my Pokedex, like played a bit of Breath of the Wild. Got a bunch of other like indie games and stuff. Like I'll play them for a few hours. I like that Moonlight game, but it's not a Switch game specifically. So yeah, it kind of just sits in its case. I think it's in a bag like over there, like on the floor. So yeah.
Kept in dust somewhere.
So Stream Deck all the way. I think that answers the question.
Cool. How about yourself, Zeke? What's your take on the Steam Deck, and what would you choose between a Steam Deck and a Switch if you had to choose between the two?
Honestly, I don't know. I would definitely choose a Steam Deck. I'm not even gonna lie. Like that's the reality of it. But like, it's like I'm a console player, and it's just like I feel like you just can use your laptop, and get away. Because obviously, firstly, the battery power is still similar to a laptop. And it's like, you got PSPs or everything. Now, I was expecting for this to happen eventually. And obviously, I'm not like the controller's quite cool because I've got an Elite controller. I know people play Scuff controller, so like you've got the buttons at the back as well. And obviously, it's still kind of weird with the buttons on the top, but they've got the trackpad, which is it is super interesting. Then also, you need to start thinking about the storage, the more games you want to play. Because obviously, starting at about 300, then after you want the 512 gigabyte, that's like 600, 700 pounds. And it's like, look, isn't it worth to get a small computer rather than like a portable one? And it's like, okay, say you're on set, like Tom Hardy, when he was filming, for example, he wanted a little Xbox to play. And I saw when in America, they got a little monitor with the Xbox. So, oh, that's quite cool. Now they got the Steam Deck, cool, might be a good replacement. But then it's also like when you're outside, are you trying to, because see, you probably want to play single player games, I guess, more with that than you want to play multiplayer. But they're still trying to get that multiplayer because obviously the for console, like small console, but like the PC things, like 60 hertz, isn't it? Refresh rate. So I don't know, there's a lot of pros and cons to it. It's like, is it really worth it? Maybe I can just get my small laptop PC, otherwise what's the point of having that? So it's a difficult one, man. Like, eventually everything's going to accumulate. So you are a PC gamer, you got your PC, then is it at this rate, no one's going to be talking. It's just going to be 24/7 going down, like walking, etc., not seeing anything. It's like you can do that at home. So it's like, I feel like when you're out, you want to have something less different, especially like you said, like if the game's more powerful, okay, it's going to take more battery power.
Oh yeah.
The graphics itself, like, you want to lower the graphics. I'm not gonna lie, sometimes when I play a single player game like Assassin's Creed and stuff, I love the scenery. I don't want to lower my graphics. I know, playing and maybe I haven't got time. I mean, like, especially I was in a hotel, but then I'd have like, my small laptop or a PC, do you know what I'm saying? And I'm saying, no, you can connect it all up, but then it's like, look, if you got the money to invest in it. So I'm saying there's a lot of pros and there's a lot of cons at the same time. So it's just like, I don't know, but you knew technology was going to get to there at one stage, but obviously there's still like, I hate to say a battery power split thing. Obviously they got the SD cards, which is good. You can different things, but it's going to be money. Then obviously new consoles, the Xbox, the Series, they're going to make that portable in a sense as well. It's just like, okay,
technically you could put that on there.
That as well, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So but if you just get the Xbox Series, which runs slightly better, and you get a monitor on top, you can take that. You probably want to get that. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So then obviously it's portable. So it's just, I don't know. As I said, there's a lot of pros and cons, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think for myself, it is very much a wait and see approach. I mean, like I said, I like this, the idea of it, and being able to play games. I mean, for myself, if I was to get one of these, I might maybe try a few of the bigger games, but I think I'd probably want to play mostly indie games. Some of the smaller games, because that's generally what I play a lot of these days anyway. And the idea of being able to play those on the go, even though I'm not sure I get much time to play games on the go. Like I'm kind of opposite Alex. I just got a Steam account with no games. I've got a Steam account with so many games that I've hardly played. So it's just kind of like, it'd be cool to have something where I can maybe almost try to maybe eventually possibly maybe get to some of the games that I haven't played. So I definitely like the idea of it. And between this and a Switch though, like yourself, like I've got a Switch. I've had it from I think a few months after it came out, and I definitely played it a few times. I've played some great games on it, but for the most part, it does kind of sit there and kind of collects dust for a little bit. And I jump in with the retro games. I've got the the Nintendo Online service. I do jump on the retro games every now and then, and I think that's pretty much what's keeping me from selling it right now. Just because I like being able to play some of those old school games from time to time, and it's only like £17 a year, so it's not that ridiculous. But if I had to choose between Steam Deck and the Switch, from what we know about the Steam Deck, and if it can live up to what they're saying it is, then I'll most likely go with the Steam Deck. It's a little bit more expensive, but I think you get a lot more out of it, and like you're saying, like you could run Windows on it, so you could potentially put games that you get from like the web, or from say unofficial places that that serve games and things like that. You could potentially try all that. You could plug different controllers into it and use it, or plug the monitor into it and use it as kind of almost
a co-op as well.
So there was it. Sorry,
you can play co-op as well.
Co-op, yeah, you can do all that as
controllers.
Well. So I'm very much looking forward to the Steam Deck. I mean, I don't know if I want to get one on release. That ways to be seen. But I'm definitely keeping an eye out for this to see what it could do, because this, and especially I saw somebody point this out as well, that if it can run Windows, then it could potentially run, it could run Microsoft's xCloud. And at
That's
point,
what it's trying to do.
Yeah, you probably don't have to buy anything, because I don't know if you tried xCloud. I've tried it a few times, and definitely it needs some kinks. It's not a perfect service right now, but it does work pretty well. It does work pretty well. If it could run okay or well enough on something like this, especially as 5G and everything else is becoming more popular to play on the go, then yeah, you could have something like this and maybe only ever buy like cheap games from the store, and then all your big AAA games you just stream from Microsoft. So yeah, this could be a big game. Literally, it could be a big game changer. But
sounds like a gateway drug.
Very well. Very cool what it could be, man. The Steam Deck. But yeah.
But also, like, it's got the Xbox controls of the X, A, Y, and B stuff as well. See, Xbox just
subliminals.
I'll show a picture of it actually, because it's got. I would say the design of the. Quite here. The design of it is a bit off. Like the people who played it say that it works.
They got used to it really quick. Yeah, they got used to it.
It does look awkward where the buttons are. Like you'd have to hold it in some awkward way. But
and the D-pad as well. Apparently, it's weird. But they got the trackpad. I'm really interested to see how the trackpad works, man. I'm literally because sometimes like wait. Already with my iPhone, I have struggled. Like why do autocorrect? That is. I'm not tapping. So the trackpad's like, oh no.
Yeah, the trackpad apparently has some kind of sensor so it knows when your finger is on it versus when your palm is on it, so you're not moving things accidentally, and that's a big deal, because especially if you got the buttons all the way up at the top and everything else, you don't want to be like moving the mouse around where you don't really want to be. But then, I don't know, is that the type of thing that if it malfunctions, then you're just going to have like an awkward experience until you get it fixed?
Yeah.
And
that's the thing as well, like, as I was saying, with the battery power, cool, it lasts 2 to 8 hours. That's what they're saying. It depends on how it works. It's like, well, after several months, like the Mac, technically you last 3 years after the warranty, then they want you to buy a new one. Is that how they're going to be doing it? The trackpad, like you said, we play consoles. The thumbsticks, they don't last long to sell. And the D-pad, like, how's that? Because you don't want to keep paying money, because eventually everything's going to cost, it's going to cost like a house by the end of it.
And if there is anything, well, I'm sure it's not anything too much like the Switch, but the Switch has that issue with the drift. When it gets after a while. Apparently, it's a pretty easy way to fix. I watched a video where you have to open it up and just put like a little piece of paper in there. But I don't know. Could you be doing that? You can't. I'm sure it'd be much harder to open up a Steam Deck and put a piece of paper if it starts having an issue with the control stick. So
yeah.
But then again, maybe. I mean, if they are really looking at it like a PC, then perhaps you can open it up, and perhaps it is somewhat modular. I mean, they haven't announced anything, but I'm just going off what we can do with PCs that you can open up, you can replace parts. Perhaps, there is an option where you can open up the Steam Deck and, replace the memory or replace this. And
they said, like, you can't upgrade the core
you can't.
for
Okay,
a PC, not yet. But in a year or 2 years.
It's coming.
Yeah.
Exactly. In a year or two.
That's the version that I'd want then.
I would want to ask a PC player though. As a PC player, would you get this? Because someone who's PC who knows all that, like, creates their own PC and stuff, would they get that? But obviously they'd probably play it all the time at home. It's like, nah, I wouldn't want to. I want to do something different. Because obviously, as we said, console and PC players getting to it be different. So knowing someone who knows like the ins and outs, like specs, every little bit, I'd want to ask them that question.
I'd imagine if you're a proper hardcore PC gamer where you're looking at always getting the latest graphics cards, the latest and everything else, constantly upgrading, stuff like this is maybe possibly a nice novelty, but I doubt for them it's going to be something that replaces their game. It might be something that just have to maybe play a few things on the go, but not as a replacement for what they have. I mean, to be honest, I generally don't play a lot of portable games anyway, so if I had something like this, I doubt it would replace my general gaming, but it'd be cool to have something you can play, then when you come back and play on your PC and play it properly when you're at home and play 10 minutes outdoors or stuff like that,
And in 2 to 3 years, I'd like to see how it goes, because they even said like it doesn't start up a game straight away like the Xbox would, when you pause it, switch it off. So there is that factors, but like we said, in 2 years probably you can replace the graphics card, etc., and its own. So maybe then I'll be like, okay, now it's starting. But then, as I'm saying, you can get a portable laptop, like a gaming laptop, if they need it, to go inside. So it's like I mean, for the switch killer in that terms, I mean, yeah, that's a switch killer. Call 911 or 999, wherever you. There's been a murder.
Detective Pikachu in a case. All right, so let's let's talk about this subject now. This is pretty serious subject you guys have heard about. I'm sure everybody has heard about it at this point. It's pretty massive news, and not just the gaming circles. It's been in various other outlets as well that don't normally cover games. And of course, this is something that doesn't just happen in the gaming industry. It is just a worldwide unfortunate thing that happened, but it has happened recently. Or allegedly, but let's be honest. I mean, these things happen, and we know they happen. Yeah. And so, as California sues Activision Blizzard over sexual harassment, and I won't go too much into the story because I imagine most people probably know what's going on. But just as a general kind of gist of it, there's allegations going that in Activision Blizzard, they've fostered an environment of harassment, abuse. People have been discriminated against. Well, women in particular, and in particular women of color, have been discriminated against. Actually, let me say black women. I don't really like that women of color term. Black women have in particular been discriminated against.
Like injured women as well, though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
The Asians, etc.
Okay, fair enough then. Fair enough. Women of color.
That's what I'm trying to say. The ages black women. There's like fair Indian, enough. Asian, all kind of. That's what it's trying to say.
But yeah, they foster the culture of environment and abuse and discrimination, and of course they've denied it. Well, they kind of denied it and haven't denied it. There's a whole thing about the emails they sent around. But yeah, when I first heard it, it's one of these things where it's like it's shocking, but also not surprising at the same time because it's not the first time this sort of thing has happened. And Ubisoft had their issues, I think about a year or so ago, and that they put some recent things about that now. But for me, I just feel like it's something that, and you've heard people talk about whether you're going to boycott them or whether you need to do this, and people need to be held accountable, which definitely people need to be held accountable, and we can't just let it slide. But at the same time, one of the things that sticks to me is that I don't think we as gamers get to be innocent in all this, because it's not something that just happens out of nowhere, and people have talked about chat room lobbies for years and sort of harassment and abuse that goes on in there. And my kind of thought is that are these the same people who are eventually getting jobs in the gaming industry and just carrying that attitude with them? And because it's not really being checked, and maybe they're good at their job, they're making money, nobody's really saying anything, So I feel like it's not just a case of saying, oh yeah, let's boycott Activision Blizzard, because you can do that, but that doesn't solve the issue. There is still a problem that is, for one reason or another. And I feel like people know these things are wrong. Like I know Ubisoft talked about having sensitivity training, and I've worked in places where they send you on various sort of training courses, and you go to these courses and you think, wow, you learn so much, all these cool stuff and all these things about how to handle situations, how to handle people. But then you come back and you just realize that all the people who've been in that training course before you aren't following the training, and then nobody's really calling up on it. So it's not, for me, say you send people for whatever kind of training, yeah, that's great, I guess, but it means nothing if nobody's actually holding it up. So yeah, I feel like there needs to be something from the ground up saying like, look, we need to make sure that when we see any kind of thing like this, that we're talking about it, that we're not just calling people out and pointing our fingers and, oh, you're the bad guy, I'm so good, look at me, but actually addressing it and you figure out what's going on, why is this happening, and what can be done about it from the things that we can do in our, say, small levels and hopefully that translates later into the big levels. But I don't know, what would you guys what's your guys' take on all this? Excuse me. Ooh.
Can we just say something? And I'll let Alex talk, and I'll talk as well. Obviously, this is kind of like a universal thing, but you also got to think this both ways, in the sense of like, just because someone might smile at you doesn't mean they're being abusive either. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like maybe a small smile, that's just how it is. So like, there has to be that study as well of it. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying like, okay, they're smiling or that freaking or like just a normal smile. Like you got to know, like, no, he's actually or she's actually being abusive, etc., etc. But I'm just saying, like, both that also needs to be said.
Yeah,
there.
I mean, I think there's something said about how certain behaviors could be interpreted and how what you might do as a general innocent thing could possibly be interpreted as something a lot worse. And I think that stuff like that, I feel like comes down to just communication. Like if you smile at somebody and they let it be known that they don't particularly like it. I mean, look, I get it. That sucks. But sometimes you have to be like, you know what? It is what it is. And maybe our energies or our vibes just don't match up, and we just need to keep it apart and keep it moving. But if you say something to somebody and they let you know that they're not okay with that, and you keep saying it to that person, then you're an arsehole. You know what I mean? You have to kind of step back a little bit. And look, I know I've been petty. I'm not going to try and pretend to be innocent. I've been that petty guy at times, But at the same time, it's like, yeah, look, we need to communicate. We need to let people know things that we're comfortable with and things we're not comfortable with. I think that's definitely part of it as well. Yeah.
Back on Alex.
Yeah.
So views on this.
So yeah, obviously this it's a terrible thing, especially when you read into the stories and like how deep it's gone, particularly within their company, and they kind of just brushed it off and said it was like a separate incident, and it was basically just saying everything's not involved. So for people who haven't actually read the stories or anything, somebody sadly ended their own life over some of the abuse, the alleged abuse, and some of the comments back have essentially been like, oh, that was a separate issue and it was being dealt with. It has nothing to do with the kind of company culture. So it's kind of that, from what I can tell, there was an open letter. I didn't actually get to read it, but it almost feels like they're not taking accountability for what's going on. And it's not right. Everyone's pointing fingers at them, but I'm sure what you've heard, especially like on Twitter, this is an industry-wide thing, not just the gaming industry, but as
it's
you
universal.
Say, it's universal. It's all over. So it's just at this moment in time, it's Activision Blizzard that's in the hot seat because people have decided to come forward and talk about it. And unfortunately, I don't really think anything's going to change at this moment in time. It's going to take a lot more for them to actually care. People say they're going to boycott it, but boycott the company. But what you end up doing is hurting people that are innocent to all of this, who actually try to stick up for people, and their livelihoods get messed up. Because these guys that are at the top, because they're saying it's almost like a fraternity style kind of bro thing going on. They got the huge salaries and bonuses. So if they had to kind of get kicked out of there for a bit, lay low, and move to another company, they're fine. They're on those higher six figures. This is going to bother the people that are trying to look after their families. They should be going, all right, who are the perpetrators? Let's build the case properly, get the evidence, because that's the problem. These guys messed themselves up legally. I get it's a very emotionally charged thing. I can't imagine what it's like to, be harassed in all those kind of ways where it's like a sexual harassment. The racial side of it, I've experienced some of that, but you got to build the case, because once they start talking about certain things, it harms them going forward. Because it kind of goes out to being, particularly in America, to be it's liable. And it's like you can't just say that it's not based on anything. So they need to build a proper case and take these people down. But again, people will be scared because these guys have money, they have power, they have position. They can blackball you, and that's what they'll do to most people when they try and move it forward. So again, that's why I think not much will happen. People will be outraged for now and be like, it's terrible. There'll be GoFundMes to help people for the time being. But same thing with like, not to take away from this particular subject, but like Black Lives Matter, that was, wow, crazy for a minute. But now look, no one really cares anymore. It's the flavor of the minute. So I hope all those women affected, or the people affected, because I'm sure there's men in there that are affected as well.
100%. That's what I'm saying. You can't just say it's one side. It's both sides.
It's both sides. It's anybody in that position of power abusing that against somebody else, taking advantage. So I hope those people find some sort of closure and a way out. But overall, I don't think much is going to change.
Yeah, that's the thing what you said about sort of boycotting, and it's because I'm kind of thinking that, because I play Overwatch and I stream Overwatch kind of quite regular, so it's like I'm thinking to myself, do I boycott it? What do I do? And I'm not sure boycotting it is the answer, or if it's going to do anything. Like you said, the people who are causing this, or the people who say responsible for it, they've made their hundreds of millions. In fact, I think the CEO got like $100 million or some crazy bonus recently. So like, if they have to leave, or they have to disgrace exit, let's say it comes to that, it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go to my multi-million-pound mansion and live the rest of my life in comfort and never want for anything, and just don't have to work again. You know what I mean? It's like, what, and nothing changes. It's like the people. Let's say the people who are really affected by it are the ones that lose out. The people who are working, the people who are, the coding or the researchers, and the people at the ground level are the ones that end up losing out. And you don't want to see that, especially after they've been through all this. They're going to lose. They're going to lose their livelihood as well. So I don't know if boycott is the answer. I mean, it's just like, but then what is? Do you know what I mean? It's like, and I guess that's the kind of thing. Like, what can we do? Because and perhaps this is partly male ego, whatever. But it's like you always kind of feel like you want to do something. You never want to feel like you're just doing nothing. And I don't know what that is. I know there's lots of like things, different voices going around, different opinions going around. I know there was a thing that I heard about where people doing some in-game protests, and I know there's one to have one name, one of the characters in World of Warcraft, where one of the characters of one of the games, or one of the modes rather, I think was named after a particular person who was one of the guys doing most of the abusing. And it was sort of named after him, and they want that removed, and anything related to him removed. And he's apparently one of the key designers of the game.
Apparently, they sold as well. They told to not buy any Ubisoft games to stop to make the awareness of the accusations.
Yeah, so yeah, Ubisoft had their issues as well. I think they had, it was last year they had theirs, and then but only recently they kind of came out with a statement about what they're doing about it. That's the whole thing about the sensitivity training, which, I mean, I'm not saying don't do it. I just don't feel like it means anything if it's not really being followed. Then you need
ticking boxes,
attitudes, right? And that's the thing. It's like it's a thing that says, oh well, we've done this, we've had our training, we've sent. And you talk about liability. Look, I worked in insurance. I know about passing the blame. You do things to make sure that you don't get called up in something. And once you do that, it's like when things go wrong, it's like, yeah, I did this, I did that, I did that, and then it just gets passed on to the person who can't defend themselves. So it's like, look, I'm not convinced, like you say, Alex. I'm not sure things are changing, at least at any time soon. But I do feel like, yeah, from the bottom up, it needs to come. We can't just be like, oh yeah, you over there need to do this. You over there. It's like, well, there's things we need to do as well. I'm not saying I know what those things are, but I think there's things that we need to do as well. And hopefully at some point it can change at all angles of it. And yeah, money, I'm sure money's going to be a part of it.
Oh yeah.
People talked about affecting their bottom line. People don't change until their bottom line is affected. Yeah, that's definitely a part of it. So I'm not saying don't do it. Don't get me to, I'm not saying don't boycott, don't. It's just, I'm not sure that is the only thing, or even the thing that could do it,
Yeah. There was a CEO where he basically gives his employers more time and actually more pay off. But basically each project they had, he realized the level was going up higher because they'd commit to that project. They do probably all nights, etc., to commit to it, but then they were allowed to take that time off after, like 24 hours. And he realized the productivity got so much higher. So I thought that was really interesting. And it was really, I can't remember the name of the CEO, it's really annoying, but I was watching it because it was on YouTube, and they were saying like, yeah, he's giving them more time off, high pay raise, and the productivity level went high. But obviously, the one thing I think as well here they need to ask as a solution, and one thing that I was actually just laughing at myself. Basically, I worked in Belgium in Carrefour, and they've got like a counselor or like a therapist sort of thing. And basically, any problems, like even management or anything, he would go over all of them, and you go to him. And I was thinking that actually really, really cool. If you're in a workplace, maybe get a boy and a girl. That way, girls are comfortable if they want to talk to the girl or the guy, and they can excel. Okay, look, there's a communication. This guy keeps smiling at me, or this girl keeps smiling at me. Look, they don't like you smiling. Why are you smiling? Okay, well, look, people have said they, feel like that, and that way there's communication that's gone around. Because I think, it's so much to pass the blame as well. Obviously, like, it's true. is there going to be a change? But it's also like, okay, what's the solution to this? How are we going to do it? Because, we talk about like a world problem as well in general. Like, okay, how can we educate the children better? And it's like, I'm not gonna lie, you see the gamers, man, like that's some of the worst. The thing that you come to toxic, I'm like, damn, the toxicity. I played competitively. One reason I didn't even excel in that was because it's so toxic. I don't want to be in that environment, like where it's just like, nah, you want to enjoy yourself, have fun. Of course, I love trash talking, man. I like to play balls. Hey, I'm gonna beat you, but it's all love and respect to it at the end of the day. It's not like, so, we're talking about gaming, how are they, at work, they might be one level, but behind scenes, there might be something else. So, like you said, even doing the screenings, like, cool, I'm going to quickly just do the exam, yes and yes, but like, do you truly understand? But then this comes down also down to the education system of countries. There's so much in-depth level to it. There's a problem, in a sense, how we're training children or conditioning children or, going up. There's this, so as I was saying, a counselor in a sense would help. Okay, why are they being like this? Okay, maybe this would help to go forward. And I'm glad there's nothing wrong with going to a counselor, therapist, or whatever you want to call them. But having that's already showing a controlled, safe environment. So okay, there's someone I can talk to. They can actually go past the management, like, look, what you did there was wrong. Because now you need to think about, okay, what's the solution to this? Because we know what the problems are. Like, that's the reality. We know what the problems are. What's the solution to this? And okay, are they going to change? We don't know, man. Some people are just so power corrupt. They're in their own head, they're in their own ass. It's like, oh, now they just want money coming in. And it's just like, okay, how can we make them aware of it? But it's like, not even just the abusive side. You talk about you want to play a game, but then there's toxic gamers, they hack and stuff. That's already showing a trait of someone. So, it's just like, how can we play in cool competitive? You want the competition, you want some trash talk, etc., but in a controlled, safe environment where people can feel comfortable and communicate how they are.
There needs to be consequences. That's what's lacking.
Definitely. I think one of the things that we can do, and I don't know, maybe it means nothing in the end, we'll see, but I feel like one of the things we can do as gamers is that, because I feel like gamers are one of the few groups of people, maybe even the only groups of people that let shit slide a lot. A game gets released and it's broken, and we let it slide. I mean, there's a few people might say something, but overall we kind of let it slide. Oh, they'll patch it. It's fine. We kind of let it slide. Every now and then you get something big like Cyberpunk, and then, but for the most part, we just kind of let it slide. And or you hear about something going on in something, and it's like, oh, that's my favorite games company, we're going to let it slide. I love Microsoft to the depth, I'm going to let it slide. And we have a lot of us kind of have that kind of attitude, and I think we need to very much abandon that and be like, nope, you might be my favorite games company, you might be my favorite game, you might be my favorite, whatever it may be. Maybe I'm looking forward to this game for a long time, but at the same time, if you release shit and it's broken, we need to call that out. Because 100%. I feel like what we're doing inadvertently is creating this attitude of impunity, where people kind of feel like, oh, we can do what we want, they're going to be fine with it, it's going to let us, go with it. And you kind of see that kind of thing with it's kind of shift a little bit with, I don't know if you know about this guy called James Charles on YouTube, where it's like nearly
that beauty guy.
It's like nearly every time you hear about him, it's like he's molesting some kid or whatever, or trying to trick some straight kid into having sex with, some madness. And then you see like the comments of his community, and it's like, oh, he's fine, you're a good person at heart. And it's like, no, you need to say something. It's like, if you see this going on, you can't just be like, oh, he's my fave, let it go, because it creates this attitude of impunity where people kind of feel like, oh, I can just kind of get with everything. When everybody's saying yes around you, you have kind of no sort of frame of reference of what is actually wrong. And I think there's probably, perhaps, I don't know, like I say, maybe it's nothing to do with it, but perhaps somehow that translates into, in somebody's attitude where, what, I can touch this woman without asking her first, because whatever, I can get away with it. He's gonna care. You know what I mean?
I'm the guy,
You know what I mean? I'm the man. It's like, and I get it. Look, we're all guys. I'm sure we've all been tempted to do things we shouldn't be doing at some point. And maybe some of us, I'm not even going to pretend like I'm a perfect person. Maybe we've all done things that we should have done at some point. I'm
not gonna lie. I've smiled at someone and they were like, it's like, oh damn, like, all right, calm. I won't. I try and be friendly with people, but also like you understand. Like I know cultures. At their side, eye contact is an insult for them. But it's just like, you gotta understand this. The problem is we live in such a sensitive society as well. And this is where you're gonna understand, okay, that's where you come from, understand. But like there needs to be that communication, like we rightly said. Then also like if someone's like, look, I don't like you, you gotta understand, okay, cool. and move on. Or like, for example, talk about MCU. Not everyone likes that. There are other things to watch.
Yeah,
but then it's like, there is things like you need to point out. Okay, then these things. I'm not gonna lie. Like in Italian and French, you can't translate stuff word for word, and like it might seem people were insulting. And I realized there has to be a way of saying things. Training, but you gotta understand like the people aren't generally trying to be rude or mistaken. It's just there needs to be this communication. That you got to realize that people from other countries, English isn't their first language, like, and being rude. It's like, no, that's not the language. That's not how they wanted it to translate. So there's so many little elements and issues that come up to it. But then there is things like you said, the molesting stuff that is pure wrong. Do you know what I'm saying? So it is so difficult, and there is so much behind it. But that's what I'm saying. There's so many layers from like when you're a kid, to conditioning to it. Of course, like touching. But I know like you go to like a European country, they kiss twice, that's just the way they agree. But of course, it's trying to understand all this. Yeah,
I'd say not quite over here.
No, exactly.
Well, I say over here for those. I mean England, by the way, for those watching in other countries. But yeah, it's. Communication, I think, is definitely a big part of it because, we do have different cultures, we do have different upbringings, and we do have to put different frames of references of what is acceptable and what isn't. But I think one of the biggest things is letting go of your ego. If somebody doesn't like your advances or whatever, if you say something to somebody and they don't like it, I think sometimes we do have that kind of like ego thing of like, how dare you say it to me and that kind of thing. And perhaps, and I think one of the things we do is all kind of quell our egos and just be like, you know what? I said something, they didn't like it, whatever. Move on. You know what I mean? Move on. But sometimes we just let our egos take over. How dare she say it to you? She can't say it to you. Not you. You're the man. You know what I mean? And maybe that is part of our upbringing. I know a lot of, feminists tend to talk about the way men are brought up versus the way women are brought up is fundamentally different and creates these attitudes. And perhaps that's part of it. I'm not the psychologist to know, but, looking back on things and, the way I was raised and, seeing my parents and how they are together, perhaps it all comes to a thing where my attitude towards things means that I don't always understand a particular situation. I may say the wrong thing and then my ego gets involved and I'm like, no, that's not how it should be. So I think we all need to take a step back. We need to listen more. We definitely all could do with more compassion towards other people and just try to understand that the world doesn't revolve around yourself and that we all sort of play a part in making this a better place, so I don't know. I don't know. That's my answer. Just arms up in the
air. Then obviously ego, like, so we're trying to talk about meditation and spirituality, self-growth, self-improvement. I'm all about that personally, but not everyone is about that. But then there has to be it's
all right.
It's a topic.
So I think that's a decent place to wrap up. Before we do, is there any last words you guys would like to say or add or anything like that before we depart for this particular episode of Games and Frames?
I'm gonna say I tried to watch Falcon and Winter Soldier, just couldn't get into it. Completely random to what we was talking about, but it just popped into my head.
I'm not gonna lie, I have my issues. I have my issues with it personally as well. I watched it all though.
I'm gonna finish it. But
finish it. But then, like, it's like WandaVision. Not many people enjoyed WandaVision, but it's just like, you gotta watch it. Then it's like I said, like for acting side, I'm like, that's really good. Just for the action side, and stuff. But then like, Winter Soldier and Captain America, there was like I had issues regarding.
Have you guys watched Loki?
Quite a few things. Nah, I haven't had the chance yet. I like to binge watch it all as well. So I'm like this week.
Okay.
I'm binge watching it.
Let me not say
I'm a couple episodes in. So
okay, so you know a little bit there. All right.
I like it.
Listen,
I like it.
Bro. Finish Loki. Yeah, Alex, finish Loki. Zeke, start and finish Loki.
I've been doing 2 days.
Bro.
My weekend is sorted.
What, 6 episodes?
My weekend's my Friday night is sorted.
Listen, I'm not even, no hyperbole. I'm just saying, you Loki. Oh.
Okay.
Talking about.
Let me not say that because I don't want to ruin it for you, but Loki.
Talking about Loki, the next thing I want to watch is actually Ragnarok. That's the next thing actually.
Okay,
That's on my list to watch. That's
a good one.
Yeah, that's my next thing to watch actually. So, yeah.
All right. Well, in that case, I think yeah, I guess that's where we're going to end. So let me just say thank you everybody who's watched it through, whether you watched a little bit or all of it. It's all appreciated. Make sure you check out Alex. Make sure you check out Zeke. Make sure you check out myself as well. You know, we're all doing things. There'll be some links in the description for all that kind of stuff.
Big up B.
Find us around the web and see what we're doing and that kind of thing. But yeah, if you got any comments on what we talked about, anything, especially about the Activision thing, if you got any comments on what you think could be done about that, or anything you think we can do as gamers or as just people in general, let us know in the comments, and you can talk about it there.
100%.
But yeah, that's gonna be it for now. So guys, how do I end? I forgot my ending. Like,
improvise,
subscribe. Oh yeah, let me know down below while you're there. Be sure to like, subscribe, and drop a suggestion if you don't mind. That's my, it's not live, but we record it without edits, so it is what it is. It's just gonna go out as it is. But hey.
One take Drake.
All right, till whenever,
one take.
if ever. Peace.
Peace. Much love.